Yeah, dude, good times, man. Well, I think this is a good time to segue into this, but speaking of cultivating a growth mindset, and crypto's been it's been a bit stagnant, but the next gentleman that I'm about to introduce, I have a bunch of respect for this gentleman. He is my business partner. He's the co-owner of the Finest LLC, SoLitty Records, crypto enthusiast, activist, a little bit of an agitator, young entrepreneur, Samuel Hogan, Shaggyrax, ladies and gentlemen. We got him in the building. We got him
Yeah.
in the building. We got him in the
Awesome.
building. Yes.
Glad to be
What's
here.
up, man? I'm not even gonna act like I haven't talked to you like 5 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago. Like we've been chatting, y'all. We've been working, but this is a good time for me to just ask him the questions, and let him break it down. And of course, we're gonna tie this back into adapting because man, that's what we've been doing these past few years is adapting. So yeah, bro. What's up? What we were? Tell them what we're working on. What's the current projects? And yeah,
Well, as of today, September 11th, 2025, when we're recording this, we've got a project on the way right now from our good buddy Hakeem Harmony. That's coming out tomorrow. It actually goes live at midnight tonight. It'll be a single called "Stop It" with a music video. Pretty excited about that. It's our first time getting to work with pretty big music video creator
mm,
from our side of town, a cat I grew up with. So it's kind of cool getting to see that community, uh, I guess, ROI in a way, you know.
yeah,
So that's been dope. I've been working on a lot of publishing stuff, as you know, long hours into the
hmm,
night, dealing with paperwork mess. Some pretty exciting phone calls and conversations online happening. Um, but you know, Solidity, we've uh, we've definitely had to adapt to a few things, but in a way, I think we've maintained the goals and focus. Um, like I guess our core interests haven't really changed that much. We've just had to adapt to the ever changing environment around us and circumstances within.
yeah. And we were definitely we were into the crypto hard, man. I would say for that first year, we really went in and that was the aim. That was just yeah. Those were a lot of where our targets were going.
I
So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's really it reminds me that's you introduced me and Izzy, Shaggy. It was and really you've been involved in Cardano and in this altcoin crypto stuff for basically as long as I have, you know. Back right when Six City was kicking off and doing
Yep.
his thing, and Jimmy there at Six City. It's it's interesting that the music is always central to what you're doing. It's core to what you're doing, and it still is, and that's good to see. So
Almost like a return to the roots is kind of how I feel right now. It's funny you brought that up. I'll start with that if that's all right with you, Izzy, and just
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely. Yeah,
take people
absolutely.
on a tour of our little journey through crypto.
Yeah.
Um, a bit about myself. I'm 27. Um, I was born in Virginia, but raised in Memphis. Military kid, moved around a lot early on, but I kind of settled down by high school in two places: my grandparents in Louisiana, and then my home in Memphis. Um, I went out and joined the military. I got back way before my contract was supposed to be up. Had my little medical discharge and everything. So not early on, I kind of my first attempt at doing something with my life already didn't, pan out the way I had intended. So I had to pivot, and because of the way I lived early on, uh, I had burned a lot of bridges. So the adaptation started young, pretty early on, like right out of school. So music was something that kind of fell in my lap, uh, like a lot of things in life. Um, I had good friends growing up through high school that really were into music. I played instruments as a kid. Learned how to play piano pretty young. Read sheet music. I'm a drummer by heart. Like I love drums. I don't play professionally. Never have. Never performed or anything like that. It's just something I've enjoyed. Music played a big role in my life. So about 2019, me, Hakeem, and some buddies of mine were hanging out in my RV. And man, I'm 21 at the time. We have a singer, rapper, artist guy. We have a producer, and I like doing paperwork. I don't know why. So
Yes, he does.
at the time, I was working a sales and marketing job, inside sales. I was selling door hardware, and I was pretty good at selling door hardware. So um, I found a knack for like Excel spreadsheets and paperwork, data entry, that kind of stuff. I figured just one night on a whim, the three of us should start a record label. I know Izzy's story with the finest is in parallel to this. This is one of the reasons why, for those who don't know, SoLitty Records is the finest. The finest is SoLitty Records. We have
Yes, sir.
become as one because, man, that backstory, just three guys, different talents. Hey, we need to do this together
Facts.
because
Facts.
it's, we see what the industry's doing. We hear the stories. Yeah, we're trying to make it in music too, but I don't want all these people stealing me and my friends' hard-earned money, right?
Yeah.
We got to do this ourselves. So
Mhm.
that was the thought, you know. Um, I was a troubled young man, still am, honestly. Knock on wood, none
He's
crazy.
healing. He's healing.
Yeah,
Come on.
I
Yeah.
got myself into a fair bit of trouble between 2019 and 2022 when I got out of prison. So uh, I got out of prison in like beginning of 2022. I think it was like January. I was introduced to Cardano in February. I had a buddy of mine that maintained communication with me my whole time being locked up, and he really encouraged me to check this out in letters. My first hearing of Cardano was actually in letters. I probably have them somewhere. Uh, wrote the word down Cardano as one of the blockchains to check out. Um, so I got out and right back to work. I had the music studio equipment I went and picked up from my guy who had it the whole time I was locked up. The laptop full of projects, this and that, checking in with all the artists I wanted to work with. And we still got a lot of these guys around today. That's super dope. So um, Jimmy from Six City was who my buddy Baby K told me to check out. That was really how I found Cardano. Uh, Ironically, Cardano at the time, 2021, 2022, had like the earliest adaptations of a music protocol. Every blockchain had music NFTs, but the concept of a music protocol that covers the royalty rights and the needs of music artists was started before we got there. And I want to highlight that first. We have built on the shoulders of giants here in Cardano. The listening room.
Just
Go ahead.
barely though. I'll say that NFTs came around. I mean, the time frame that you're talking about here was right about when NFTs were brand new
Yes.
on Cardano, and
Yes.
SIP 60 was very, very early on.
Yes. As we'll see
Adaptation.
later.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and I do thank you for bringing that up. I came in at the very tail end. And by the way, when I say I came to Cardano, Izzy knows I didn't just come to Cardano. I came and brought the guys. We had
He brought the
everybody.
guys to Cardano.
Oh yeah.
We had like 20, 30 people we was on board and on the regular. Like this is like we'd go to the neighborhood and just be outside smoking weed, like bullshitting, doing dumb shit. And hey, download this wallet right here. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna send you some stake to Six City Music, Stateful, SCM. That's what we was doing. We was really like out there doing all that, and that's how we saw the passion of people. We heard the reason I say we were standing on the shoulders of giants, man. It's not necessarily what they had built at the protocol level, because as you know, as a music consumer early on, it sucked. Everything sucked. It still sucks. A lot of it, like, we can do better, but it's the ideas I think that they had got to build out and flesh out early on that hooked guys like me and Izzy on these concepts.
Right.
There's no way you would have convinced me I needed blockchain in anything I was doing for business if it wasn't for like the minds of RC at the listening room, Disguise, Juice, Jimmy early on. I'll even throw like Ryan Jones from Noom, like the concepts, Theoscape, a bunch of the guys over like Demu, Soundrig, Sonny from Soundrig, man, like these guys had these ideas and they wanted to see a more free and user artist controlled music ecosystem. 60% of music royalties do not get claimed and end up pocketed by the PROs. That's the US. It's probably worse elsewhere, outside of maybe Europe.
Crazy.
Yeah. So we were able to really quickly latch on in the early ideas of like the record label and fleshing these out. Hey, this could definitely be like useful for us in the future. We didn't even exactly know how, but we knew that hearing these sort of guys talk about it, and we knew from the challenges we faced in the music industry early on that a more transparent, artist-controlled music ecosystem is definitely something we need. Otherwise, teams like The Finest and SoLitty Records would have never been started to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We geared a lot into the education aspect of it, and we're still doing that.
Heavy. Yeah, because we're teaching ourselves stuff every day. We're teaching each other stuff every day. Our resources just grow and grow and grow, and a lot of it, man, even partnership wise, like SoLitty Records is not a brand on Cardano. I think you'll see plastered everywhere. We don't look for partners like that though. We're looking for places we can find more knowledge, tools, resources. If it's not something like that, like we love supporting projects that are driving volume. Aside from that, does the chain work for what we needed to? Yep. Let's get these transaction fees and the menu TXO a little bit lower. That would help with micro payments for auto royalties. Wink, wink. Yeah. Please, Cardano, please. We're begging you. Please.
Yeah.
Don't make us go to an L2.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
Speaking of L2s, though, the idea of midnight has been talked about a lot here recently, and I know there's this the midnight claim window and all that stuff is open. By the way, just as a public service announcement to our listeners, if you are not aware of midnight and you are in the Cardano ecosystem, look into that. We'll put a link in the description so that you can go and claim your night tokens. But I've always been sort of kind of waiting for midnight to come around, because I've always felt like having privacy or being able to encrypt some of the data is kind of key to what maybe to make things really possible for music. You have to be able to keep certain things private, right? And I don't know exactly what possibilities are out there, but I feel like things are going to start to accelerate a bit more with midnight and music.
I haven't honestly explored midnight as a music protocol option. Not a particular reason for that. Just in general, for music and music applications, you'll see that not even just Web3, but Web2 as well. Hashing is usually the standard for protecting your IP and ensuring like it's playable across multiple databases. So Cardano's hashing capability, we use IPFS largely. There's a few other storage solutions you can use. You can locally host stuff and hash it. But in general, anything that would be required to be private would probably be hashed in some form or fashion, So if midnight, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that too much. With IPI numbers in publishing, they're tied to your social security number, at least in America. This allows them to pay you and ensure that you're paying taxes, right? So I guess if they were to get on-chain applications that were handling and managing themselves as a PRO. Izzy, write this down. We need to think about this actually.
Copy.
Yeah,
Oh,
that could be where Midnight would be essential. You would need the privacy factor of it. The problem then becomes how to vet what applications are granted visibility of that data, because there are applications that would need it, right?
Yeah, and
Otherwise,
there's
it's not streamlining anything. Because right now we're having to like, okay, I'll register, and my apologies for cutting you off, John, but this is just kind of like the frame of reference for you.
Mhm.
We're having to register compositions in one place, written and like the beat type deal. You register the song as a whole separately. So, like the recorded version of the song separately.
Yeah.
Then you have to be a member of certain organizations to collect certain royalties. And on top of that, you're having to re-enter the same stuff once they assign you codes to your distributor when you're then going to all platforms. So if crypto and Web3 solutions aren't going to streamline this, ironically centralize it, that's what they need right now. Like the music industry does not need any more decentralizing of anything. It is too fragmented and too complex and complicated for most artists to capture all their royalties.
Yeah.
It needs to be solutions here, right? So
we've seen the diagram that Mr. E showed us of
awful. The spaghetti diagram,
Yeah,
the spaghetti
yeah.
monster. That's what we call it.
Uh-huh.
We call it the music industry spaghetti monster, because it's
Mhm.
a giant interconnected web of mess where label royalties are collected one way and distributed to them. Certain royalties and copyrights are only granted to artists and composers. It's ridiculous. And then all the different royalty types are managed by different agencies.
Mhm.
That's just in America. We're as Izzy knows, we're going through the process to register to be a publisher in Canada, because that's separate, by the way. It's all.
Another part of the web.
We got one Canadian producer, and I'm having to get a bank account in Canada. This sucks, bro.
be careful, they can shut those down.
I know.
Right.
You got to deal with the devil sometimes, bro. It's like adapt, right? I really want to release this Canadian producer's music. It's good. It like reminds me of middle school. I get the goosebumps when it plays. I'm gonna jump through the hoops to do it. You know? So
and I feel like it's worth knowing too, more than anything.
Yes.
And that's going to be a good streamline for us and everything that we have in our core documents that we can refer back to when these terms get updated, because they always get updated.
I got to. Yeah.
If I have a bit of a question, and it's a little off topic, but if it's okay for me to ask, I know that you moved.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that. You know, your move out of state. What's you're in Florida now?
Yes.
What's that like, man?
Sunny Florida, peaceful.
That's awesome.
Peaceful. And I don't know. I feel like I've been able to exercise a few demons out here. You know, get some monkeys off my back, so to speak. I know you've been around the SoLitty guys enough to know like Memphis is not a good place to be right now. Maybe like 20 years ago, but it's just in my lifetime I've watched as the city has kind of descended into some levels of chaos. People feel like they live in Gotham in Memphis. And speaking from experience, it don't feel good to be a Gotham City citizen. It feels good to be a Lake County resident in Florida. This feels awesome. Like,
Nice.
just the resources are better. The public spaces are nicer. People are in general out and about more. There's more community events. It's just, it was a much needed move.
I feel like the mentality was different while you were in Memphis, just in the
It
sense of
was
our
survival.
urgency of doing things. Yeah, it was the survival versus the living. That was the biggest thing. And we made a lot of good moves, but just in the sense of like why we were making those moves. I said it offline before, but it was like it was manic in a way because of the unpredictabilities that we just didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow. There was just so much happening with all of us, and we were still growing. And I mean, we're still growing now, but we weren't as mature then as we are now.
There
And
was an existential set of pressures on us,
yeah,
and there
yeah,
still is for some of our guys. I think it's important to note as well here, man. Like, if you guys, the viewers, largely, if you guys ever see me and Izzy, and even some of the cats around us that maybe didn't even live in Memphis or come from Memphis, move with certain urgency or passion, I don't think it's a foul for me to say, like, dude, there's a survival mentality still in SLR. Like,
yeah,
this, it hurts us too. It bites us in the ass sometimes, but there is a sense
mhm,
of urgency. And we have people we are desperately working on getting elevated in life, or they may die where they are. That's just not, it's not an option for a lot of us. It's not. And I know I'm blessed. I got family that had already moved out of state. I live with my parents now, and I love it. I wouldn't move out if they told me to. I'd be like, hell no, ma, evict me. What? Y'all cook too good.
Yeah.
And I haven't had time with my family in years and years and years. I was a rebellious teenager. So being able to be like an adult, still have my parents, that's a blessing. My parents are a
yeah,
little older anyways. And then, you know, I have time to kind of like mend those relationships, the bridges I burned early on. Um, Lost my grandma back in December. So that's been, how those things go. You lose somebody like that, it kind of brings the family together or it rips them apart. And for me, it was kind of like a leaning in time. I, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So,
sorry to hear that, man.
I mean, it's life. She was, she lived a long time and was so ready to go. We called her Grandma Grump. She was, she was,
Grump.
I love her. I love her to death. Uh, but man, yeah, I think with SoLitty, we got a past and we got a history to us and a certain swagger that comes with that. But we're hungry for knowledge, and I think Cardano. Another reason we latched on so hard to Cardano, John, was guys like you, particularly. But I can name dozens: Steve Lockhart, Tony from Lad Swag, Gabriel, Slim from Stripper Coin, like Jimmy. Like there's been a lot of people.
Jordan.
Randall from Demu, these guys have just latched onto us and elevated us and like seen that hunger for knowledge. And for whatever reason, y'all gave us the grace to just learn and be around and interact. And I say this a lot, even in my Discord with my guys. A lot of us are younger. One of the reasons why Izzy plays such a critical role, I think, in SoLitty is because he is a little bit older than a lot of my guys, and he can resonate with certain things, but at the same time, that order. And sometimes we need that to come from older guys, older men, mentors. And in Cardano specifically, we found mentors in Cardano. That's what's kept us here this whole time. We're loyal to people.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big highlight right there, man. That is a big highlight. And to piggyback off of that, being in the position that Sam and I are in now, where we have the mentality of it's not survival for us and we are able to live. The mentality is like we've been able to adapt differently in how we look at this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but looking at the guys that we have to, like, it's not an option that we have to bring. We have to bring. And they want to as well, but man, those cycles are hard to break. They really are. There's just certain loops, man. and they're going to repeat themselves at a constant until eventually. But we know the type of influence that we have on these guys and just what we've done in the community too. So I don't see failure, but those are always, but like he said, we still have those survival instincts within us. So, there's always, just a small feeling of doubt, just in the sense of not like the company succeeding, but what if
Are
we
we
can't
are
take it?
we gonna make it
Yeah.
as
Like,
people?
yeah. What if we can't take everybody?
Yeah, the survival mentality can be a drawback, but at the same time, and I wanted to ask this too because I'm getting ready to potentially have some land and not a good way to live on it, and have to figure out how to do come what may, make it. And so I sort of wonder if having that survival mentality is also a benefit in the sense that you just won't quit because you can't, like there's a determination to absolutely make it. um it's sort of from the bottom, but it's something that again, I'm getting ready to go through it. So uh
I'll actually liken this to basic training, at least for the Marines. In spurts, that survival instinct and getting yourself uncomfortable, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, that is amazing for the human body and our mind. It's important. Living like that every day destroys the human spirit. It just does. And there's a certain sense of hopelessness and despair that kind of takes root in communities that have nothing. I don't know how else to explain it. And this is one of the reasons why like irrational things happen in those sort of places because people aren't in their right mind. They're not thinking rationally. Their whole life has been despair or hopelessness or this is my future. Growing up watching their big brothers, uncles, aunties, whatever, dude, and it's heartbreaking, really. Like, mm,
yeah,
you
so
know,
it can't be, like you said, it can't be a long-term sustained thing.
can't
Otherwise
be.
it just,
It's not productive in that capacity,
yeah.
right? Very few people will be able to endure that. Not that none can. Oh, there are people out there who are just tough as nails because God made them that way, and you know, I appreciate those kind of people. The world needs them. They're a lot of people's rock, but not everybody is that rock, you know. And even myself, man, I just back to why I kind of felt so attached to Cardano early on was because I got, dude, coming from that environment, we want better for ourselves, we want better for our community, we wanted whatever. I can't tell you how many times we would just sit around talking about that sort of stuff. We didn't have no actionables. We didn't know what to do, and we had no leadership to point us in the right direction. So within Cardano, we were able to find people who maybe weren't from that or weren't living that now, but maybe were from that, or maybe even were none of those things, but were just really good at empathizing and putting themselves in other people's shoes. And that right there, dude, like it doesn't matter what happens on Cardano. I'm here because of them. And I'm gonna stay here till they all leave. That's just
Yeah.
the kind of person I am, right? So we needed the leadership, we needed the guidance, and uh, a lot of times, you know, these conversations with mentors, we get slapped around, and then we should, because man, you can't be thinking like that. You can't be thinking this and that is an option or whatever. I don't appreciate what you said. We need that. Young men need that shit. Um, we're very inflexible. I told Izzy when he told me the topic, it's like, man, it's crazy. You guys want me to talk about adaptability and adapting. I am so inflexible. Like, it's not even funny, bro. And I know John has like bumped into that with me before. Um, but you know, Izzy as well, dude. Like me and all my buddies have butted heads and bump knuckles sometimes, and you know, it is what it is. But um, I think if you give the right mentors the proper respect, even an inflexible person like me can learn to yield, and sometimes the dog's got to yield. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, you've been a super influential person, I believe, in the Cardano space. I know that you and Charles Hoskinson haven't always seen eye to eye on things, and you know, definitely give you props for speaking your mind and having independent thoughts, because that's a very key and important thing. And I really respect everything that you've got to say. And man, I just really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk and share some of your story with us and with our listeners and everything else, man. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, my
yeah,
brother.
dude,
Appreciate you. You know, I'm gonna talk to you right after this.
for sure. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all gonna have me on again. I want to
For
tell the
sure.
whole story of Six City stripper coin to now to just the market shifting and kind of dive into the weeds of that and less about the backstory, you know. So
Yeah.
um, if it's all right with you guys, I'd like to close with something and
Sure.
just kind of it's an interesting day to have any sort of conversation regarding politics, but I would encourage any of our listeners, don't let them divide us right now. We're supposed to fight that power. That's what this project's all about.
Right.
We free thinkers, we're able to disagree, but it does not ever need to come to violence like we've seen. So,
Amen.
um, as a perpetuator of violence at times, I can honestly say, man, this ain't the world we want to grow up and raise our kids in, bro. It's
Yeah.
not. So, my heart and prayers go out to the country right now. Shit, leadership especially. Um, and with that, I'll kind of refrain from any further commentary on it. But I appreciate y'all for having me on.
Amen. Amen. Much love.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shaggy. And yeah, we'll definitely have you on again for sure.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.